I'm your host, Roman. Today, we're going to discuss TV show series endings. Now, it's rare that a bad show is going to get saved by a tremendous ending, but it is often that a good show, your last memory of it is very soured by the dreadful closeout that the series has. I'm going to discuss mostly science fiction stuff because I like science fiction stuff, but I am going to throw in some other just series that your pop culture iconic series that usually if I'm discussing them, they had a dreadful ending, but not necessarily. And not everything may be something that you're familiar with, so these may be things that you want to check out if the ending was good. If not, then just let that shit go. So the first series we're going to talk about, and this is one of the ones I find really tragic because it was such a groundbreaking series, is Star Trek, the original series. And terrible. The last episode was terrible. The whole third season, the final season, was terrible. They knew they were getting canceled. Their budget sucked. Their writing for all but maybe one or two episodes of the final season was just crap. And so the final episode, Turnabout Intruder, finds a former love interest of Jim Kirk, an archaeologist by the name of Janice Lester, swaps bodies with Kirk, and it's just a general shit show of lack of interest. And it doesn't close out the 5-year mission. Everything just ends like a normal episode and it's over, except that the episode sucked and you don't get any closure. So terrible ending. If you do want to get good closure on the 5-year mission, on YouTube there's a series called Star Trek Continues. It looks like Star Trek, it feels like Star Trek, the writing is really good. Some of the acting is well, to compare it, not great acting to regular Star Trek. Some of the acting on Star Trek is great, but we all know this. Anyway, so check out Star Trek Continues if you want to get a really good closeout to that 5-year mission. The next one, Star Trek The Next Generation. Meh. It was okay. It was a 7-season series. It was some of the just absolutely fantastic science fiction writing. But the closeout episode takes you back to the beginning, and Encounter at Farpoint where they meet Q and then hilarity ensues. But so this one takes us to the end, All Good Things, clever name, but it takes us back to the Q, the trial and all that stuff again. And we close out with a card game, and it's not bad, but it's just kind of meh. It's just there. It's not dreadful. But the series itself was wonderful, but the end was just kind of left a bit of a hole, is I think the best way to describe it. I felt like hollow after I watched it, and kind of sad. Battlestar Galactica, not the original series. This is the 2000s well-produced series with Katie Sackhoff and all the James Edward Albers, just all the good actors who put this thing together. It was a brilliant series. I loved this series. What I didn't love was the last episode. I thought it was okay. So okay, it wasn't great. It wasn't dreadful. It was a little weird. Starbuck, and this is the part I think I liked the least about it. With Starbuck was a ghost. She was an angel. She was some unearthly thing. I felt the whole Starbuck bringing her back and then she vanishes was forced. They wanted to bring her back because they needed her on the show, but I didn't really like the way they did it. I did like the closeouts. Spoilers. I did like the closeout that the Earth that they finally do get to is our Earth, 150,000 years ago. That was clever. That was a clever bit. The Starbuck piece, not so much, but overall, not bad. Game of Thrones, crap. A million other channels have covered this and done a very good job with it. I don't need to go into it. I wouldn't waste my time with Game of Thrones overall because the last season 6, 7, and 8 were so bad. 8 being just the worst of that, and the end was just shit. Just absolute garbage. Just, like I said, I wouldn't waste my time on the series because of that, which is too bad because the first 5 seasons were really good. But you're left with just a big pile of steam and poop at the end there. And it's just, you felt like you wasted 8 years of your life. So there's that. Fringe. This was awesome. I loved this series anyway. It ran from 2008 to 2013. And you may or may not even be familiar with it. It was a Fox series following scientist Walter Bishop, his son Peter, and again, this is another kind of alternate reality. So Walter has opened a portal to a parallel universe between these. There's only really 2 worlds, but it's more than that. But every season is different because the interaction, the things that change between the worlds is different. And the final series, the final season of the series, season 5, is all about the observers. And if you've seen the series, you know who the observers are. If you've never finished the series, do it. The observers are us from the distant future. And they've come back and they've taken over. That's what season 5 is about. It's completely different than all the other seasons. And they wrapped it up just so well. The writing is good. The acting is good. It's a very satisfying ending to a series. So that's a great ending. Man in the High Castle. Bad. I've done a video on Man in the High Castle, so you can check that out. But it's a 4 season run, and season 4 unfortunately felt a bit condensed. And the last episode itself was really rushed, and a lot of characters are doing things they wouldn't do, and it was just not a good ending, which was unfortunate because the rest of the series was just so good, so groundbreaking. That's, the United States and allies have lost World War II, and you have the Germans and Japanese running the show, and it's just fascinating to watch. But that last episode, it's a killer. I still recommend watching the series because it's not like Game of Thrones where you're giving up years of your life to watch it. But when you get to that 4th season, know that the end isn't awesome. So I'm going to run through a couple of HBO series now. We'll go through these pretty quickly because you know the series. You may not have finished them or may not have seen them at all. The Sopranos. The final bit was odd and unsatisfying. The last season I didn't think was particularly good. But that final episode, the family's in the diner, they're all sitting around, Tony's looking around, the door opens, the screen goes blank. I thought it was lazy, frankly. Kill them or don't kill them. But do it. Make that decision. Instead of just going blank and, oh, what happened? It's up to the audience to decide. I don't like that. I don't think that's good writing. And no one, as far as I know, liked that ending. But anyway, Deadwood. Deadwood was a phenomenal Western series. The ending was a fucking train wreck. So what ended up happening was the budget got cut because of Rome, another HBO series, which we're actually going to talk about in a second. And Deadwood it had a really good plot line going with Randolph Hearst, and then it just suddenly takes a big shit and ends. It's like, was that the last episode? I had to go check and make sure I didn't miss something. And it was just over. And then they did the Deadwood movie fairly recently, actually. But it didn't really clear everything up. It didn't have that sense of closure that you wanted. And so, again, it's such a good series, and the end is just like, gone. Rome, which unfortunately is why Deadwood ended, but Rome itself was really good. Only 2 seasons of Rome. But it ended really, really fantastic. You follow Lucius Vorenus and Titus Pullo, 2 legionnaires. They're kind of the everyman. Everything else from Julius Caesar up to Octavian, Augustus Caesar, revolves around. So you're seeing it through their eyes. But it ends great. I mean, the war with Egypt is wrapped up. Vorenus and Pullo are home, though it is a sad ending, which I won't spoil. But it's well done. Everything about that was good. I would have loved to have seen it go to a season 3 or 4, but it just wasn't to be. The budget on it was too high. pardon me. Justified, which you may or may not have seen, follows Raylan Givens. He's a U.S. Marshal in bumfuck Harlan, Kentucky, just chasing around bad guys. But it's Elmore Leonard wrote the original script for it, and it's just a really good series. The end of the series is brilliant. It's, I think, 7 seasons. He's facing off, like I said, against all kinds of bad guys. His primary antagonist is Boyd Crowder. They're childhood friends, and then Wayland went one way in the law, Boyd went the other. But the end of the series is just so satisfying and so well done. I can't even recommend that series enough. That is just freaking brilliant. And we'll close out with one of my favorites. It's a little sentimental, so just Supernatural. I know. But for a 15-season show, they never took itself too seriously, which I always liked. The writing was always solid. You had some seasons that were not great. At the end, you had a little bit of repetitive material you were kind of churning through, but still, it was enjoyable, which you don't get a lot of these days. And the end, the final episode it did tug at the heartstrings. It was designed to do that. It wasn't a big action-packed episode, but it was a good way to close out the adventures of the brothers Winchester, and you're grateful to see it. So, good endings, bad endings, and what they can do to your perception of a series. Let me know in the comments if there were some other ones. There's a lot of things out there we could have talked about. We could have talked about MASH and golly, just a billion other shows and how you thought they ended. If you liked the video, please click like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm a fledgling YouTube artist, content producer, person, thing. Anyway, thank you for joining me today, and again, let me know what you think. I am Roman of the Empire, signing off. Be kind.